and welcome to Screaming on the Inside, a UKAT podcast. I'm your host Celeste. I'm a member of the UKAT Alumni team and an addict in recovery, and I'm thrilled to be your guide through the inspiring stories, insights and experiences shared by the amazing members of our alumni community. And today I'm speaking with the delightful Amanda, Liberty House alumna. We'll be discussing how Amanda spent much of her adult life in active addiction, the progression of her illness, and the turning point where she was able to ask for help, as well as her inspiring recovery journey so far. Just a quick content warning for today's episode, everyone. There is a brief mention of self-harm and suicide, and we will obviously be discussing things like trauma and addiction. Please be careful where, when, and if you listen. And if you are listening, you're in the right place. Hi Amanda, thank you so much for joining me today. So nice to see you. I was hoping you'd be able to just introduce yourself and for our lovely listeners and tell us a little bit about you.
Of course, it's lovely to be here, Celeste. My name's Amanda. I'm an alcoholic addict, and I'm really, really grateful to be here. Not just here, but here in general. I had a pretty horrific, almost 35 years in active alcoholism, which was horrendous. And I still can't believe I'm actually here. I feel so grateful, so lucky, and so blessed.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is crazy.
Well, I have moments like that where I just pinch myself and I'm like, oh my God, I'm here. So tell me a little bit more about what got you into recovery. You know, what was that like? I mean, that's a big question, I know. But, what comes to mind when you think about what it used to be like then compared to what it's like now?
Sure. I think it was basically one of the turning points for me. I always knew I had a problem with alcohol. Even as a child, I knew it. I saw my dad struggle with alcoholism, and I kind of remember just being really young and thinking, yeah, that's going to be my life too. That is going to be where I'm heading, so I might as well just go with it. But then it really, really came to a head about 13 years ago, 13, 14 now, getting on for. But it was, I was having terrible problems. I was married at the time, and my marriage was falling apart. I was treating my husband horrifically. We were having terrible arguments, and things just got really, really bad. So much so that I actually ended up in a police cell for a night. Wow. Thankfully, nothing came of it. After that, I just stopped drinking. I completely stopped dead for like 3 months, and it was horrible. It was absolute hell. I was lucky enough to get some counselling, but it was not fun for me. I went back to drinking after those 3 months, and that last 10 years or so of drinking was absolute hell. I hated every single second of it. Every time I woke up, I was just obsessed with thinking about how I could get through the day so I could get down the pub, so I could get that drink. And it just got worse and worse and worse. Before, I knew I had a problem, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll do something about it later. I'll do something about it. Oh, it'll be fine. But like in this time, it just got worse and worse, year on year, month on month, like week on week, day on day even. And it became so much to bear. And I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know what my life would look like. I know it says in the book that my fellowship uses that you can't imagine living with alcohol anymore, and you definitely can't imagine living without it.
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't. I just could not see my life. I was just thinking about everything that I was going to lose. And then it got to the point in my in God willing, in my last year of like full on active alcoholism. I'd always used drugs as well as a sort of recreational thing, but it was just here and there. But I got involved with a man, and I knew he was trouble, and so I very, very quickly developed a crack habit, which was fun. So yeah, I had my 9 months as a crackhead, and it was like this, one of those silly things that my alcoholic brain was telling me that I couldn't go into treatment just as an alcoholic. It would just be, I would get laughed at. But nobody would take me seriously. And even though it was killing me and completely ruining my life, I had to get a proper addiction. So yeah, I grabbed that with both hands and ran fully with it.
That's so weird. Similarly, because I will pause you there, because you hit up on something straight away at the beginning that I really relate to too, is about watching your dad go through the addiction as well, and kind of seeing it as like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
It's my family drinks, therefore so will I. That's what we do, right? I lost my dad to this addiction, I get it, and it's just like, oh well, off we go. And also, like, yeah, mine was alcohol my whole life, right? But I too almost had to ramp it up to feel like I was that it held some water, that I was hardcore enough to warrant the treatment. Like,
oh yes, so true.
Like, drinking myself stupid for 25 years wasn't enough. I had to add in cocaine as well, and that was true for me too, Amanda. So I really relate to that. So that last sort of, after the hell of it progressing over that amount of time, tell me a bit more about those last sort of months, or, with the crack and everything, that real ramping up before you finally realized you needed the help.
Yeah, I mean, it did fully ramp up this relationship. It wasn't really a relationship, but this mutual using thing that I had with this guy. I mean, it ended badly, obviously, as these things always do. It was very, very toxic. It was a really bad thing to get involved with. But he was getting to the point where I actually took his dealer off of him, and he became my dealer, and and so he didn't like that very much. But like, he didn't, before that he was always going, oh yeah, well, I'm worried about you. You seem to be buying an awful lot. And I was by the end of it, I was buying so much. It was ridiculous, the amount that I was getting through. And I just did not know what to do anymore. And I started looking at options for how the hell I was going to break out of this, because I was going to lose my job. I was going to lose my house. I wanted to die. I was going to die. There was no way forward that I could see. And it got to the point where there was only like two paths. It was death or get clean and sober. Yeah. There was no in between. There was no other choice. And so I looked into some local treatment, like charities and stuff, see if I could get some counselling or stuff. And I managed to get an appointment. And I spoke to my sister and explained to her just how bad things had got. And she actually did an awful lot of research on my behalf into looking into treatment centres. And I was really scared of telling my mum, absolutely terrified. I knew that she would be so disappointed. I mean, she must have known that, something was really wrong anyway. But it got really bad. Luckily, my sister involved my mother's partner, and they discussed it and how they were going to bring it up with my mother. And so they were kind of waiting on me to kind of give them the say so of like, right, no, I'm ready. I need to do something now. Unfortunately, it all came flying out at my mother's 70th birthday.
Ow. Ouch.
It was a little bit. Luckily, it wasn't during the party, but it was the day after. And it all came tumbling out. And luckily, although my mother was most upset and made that very clear in the beginning, she did come round and understood. And I was so grateful that my sister and that my mother's partner was there as well, because they really backed me up, and they took my mum to one side and explained just how bad and how broken I was. And they were so supportive. And by within a couple of hours, I was on the phone to like the UKAT helpline, speaking to someone, and I was literally booked to go into treatment the week after.
Wow.
And it was amazing, like that feeling of like, oh my gosh, like I'm finally going to be able to have a chance to rid myself of all of this addiction, this hell that I was going through. And this was potentially like a life-changing event, and I had to really, really grab it and take it with both hands and like really run with it. And it was also terrifying, absolutely scary as anything. But it felt so good to actually ask for help, because I never asked for help in my life. I've always just been incredibly self-sufficient, and I suppose probably due to like trauma and stuff in the past, and I've just been like, no, don't need anyone else to do anything for me. I'll do it all myself, thank you.
It goes against everything we believe in, doesn't it? I don't know a single addict, alcoholic in recovery that hasn't had a lifetime of being overly proud of being self-sufficient. And it really doesn't do us much favors, does it? And you said it sounds like it was all that when you opened up to your sister, was that the first time you had told anybody how bad things were for you?
I think so, yeah. And even then, I think I held back a little bit. I'd kind of like hinted to a couple of people that things were getting bad, but all the people I was hanging around with at the time, they're all drinkers. They all like use drugs. It was just.
Oh, it's that thing, isn't it? It's like you said, you got involved with that the person. I too have had relationships, especially when I was using.
Yes.
Where I would spend my time and form relationships with people that would either not question my drug and alcohol use, or they were worse than me.
Yes.
Or they could provide me with the substances, and these are the people we have around us.
That's exactly right. That's exactly how it was for me. Like fully relate to that. I would always have people that like drank like me, used like me, gave me access to things. It was ridiculous.
I think it's I think it says a lot, doesn't it, the company we keep? But that must have been such a scary thing for you to reach out to your family, and that that feeling like your family are going to be disappointed. I'd like to think that wasn't the case, that they were obviously concerned, but it sounds like they rallied round and helped you get the treatment you needed, right?
They really did, and I'm so grateful for that. I was so scared of telling my mother. She's she was quite rightly horrified at how far things had gone, but after her initial anger, she did become a lot more supportive, and I am so grateful for that, because it was horrible at the time, and I really felt like my next step was a box in the ground. That was it.
It's so true. And I think a couple of things there. I know when I came into the rooms, I had that gift of desperation that everybody talks about. And it really was much like you, Amanda, that crossroads. I'm either going to be dead or I'm going to get sober. One or the other. And I don't know what your experience is. Did you feel that was a conscious decision that you made, or it was kind of made for you in a way?
I think it was a bit of both. I really do. I mean, I knew it had to end. And I was just so miserable. I was so unhappy. I just couldn't cope anymore. I was hurting myself, and like not just with the drugs and the alcohol, but like I was self-harming. I just so miserable and so unhappy and just in so much pain. I knew that it was now or never. I just had to do it. But like also the other things around me, like I was going to lose my job, I was going to lose everything. It was that push I kind of needed. I mean, everyone says like that rock bottom, and it was that rock bottom for me. I really, really hit it hard. And I was fed up with it. I was miserable. I just could not carry on.
It's amazing. It's I don't know, to go through so many years just being miserable, and then for it always fascinates me how it all culminates into one moment, like one sliding door where you could have very easily just carried on, and then we end up, it being that self-fulfilling prophecy, and then it then gets, it's that thing of, like you said, your dad, I don't want to sort of go too much into it if you don't want to, but like, the fact that your dad had the disease as well, it then, we then carry it through ourselves. But really, does that mean it was the second time your mum has had to deal with that in her life?
That's true. I mean, like my mum was I mean, they did separate because I don't think she could handle it. There were so many other things related to like the alcoholism. As we all know, it isn't just the drinking, is it?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely all the thinking, the behaviors. So they did split up, but no, she had to deal with like that. And he was an unhappy alcoholic, a very sad alcoholic, and he was a lovely guy, but he was just so incredibly sad in his heart. And it was just such a shame that in the end we did lose him. I believe he was like suicidal, like quite a lot. I know that there were stories about him being found at train stations with after having a bottle of whiskey and thinking about what he would do there. And it was very, very sad. And in the end he was found on a railway track. So
I'm sorry, and I hope I haven't brought up something that's traumatic to go back to. I feel like it's really important. We've literally just come away from an event where we were learning about the family dynamic of the addiction, and you said something about your dad being like really sad inside. And it's really interesting, like that is the disease though. That is what addiction is. The drinking and the substances, that's just one small symptom.
Exactly.
Of a whole range of things, right? And I don't know about you, I can only speak for myself, but the reason I drank and used for most of my life was because I was sad and irritable and lonely and discontent.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, I mean, there was, as you say, it's just like a symptom, isn't it? It's just like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll just drink. That'll make it feel better. That'll numb it for a bit. Of course, it never does. It just makes it worse. But yeah, that whole feeling, that sadness, that hole in the soul.
Hole in the soul.
Yeah.
So true. So, okay. So, I mean, you hit your rock bottom. You did the incredibly brave thing of reaching out to your family, which must have been really hard. I mean, I don't think I told my mum how bad it was until I'd been sober for about 6 months. I do remember calling her saying, hi, Mum, I've made the decision to go to AA. I've been drinking a bit too much. And she just went a bit quiet for a couple of minutes and then was like, I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, no, I was like, it's very diplomatic, mother. But she's been dealing with my drinking and using for years, She hasn't seen it in the sense of me actually, the direct consequences and the chaos that I was living in. But oh my, did she get a phone call after a burnout, after a binge, just crying down the phone at her about my mental health being awful. Oh, the drama. Can I ask you again about your mum, if you don't mind? Do you, and we'll talk more about sort of the coming into recovery and the early days of recovery, but I really would like to know a bit more about how your recovery has changed your relationship with your family. And yeah, what that kind of looks like from the point of coming into treatment and moving forward from there.
It has changed my relationship in every single way, especially with my mother. It's with my sister, my relationship is still pretty much the same with her. I'm really lucky that she always stood by me. We're quite close. And I don't really have a big family, so I mostly consider it just to be my sister and my mum. But my mum and I, we were constantly battling. There were some things that went on in the past when I was growing up, which I found really, really hard to move on from and deal with. In fact, I still do, but I've moved on a lot more, and I had so much resentment towards her. And our relationship was bad. I would see her, but we would just constantly get into arguments. I would always be trying to change her, always trying to make her sort of see the other things. And in the last couple of years, that relationship has changed completely. I am much more honest with her now. She's much more honest with me, which is an absolute blessing. We can have a conversation. We don't have to argue. We don't have to be angry with each other. I actually stay with her sometimes now. We go shopping like every couple of weeks, go for a coffee and have a nice chat. I'm actually going on holiday with her and my sister.
No way.
In September. We're going on holiday for a week on a boat
at the same time.
And it's just like, it's so completely different. And I accept my mother for who she is. And I know that she didn't have the best time. And I know that she's been beating herself up for a lot of years about a lot of things which aren't necessarily her fault.
No.
And that resentment has really receded. And it's lovely. I'm so grateful that I can actually have a relationship with her, because the way it was going, it was bad. It was so bad. I blamed her for everything. I'd literally have a go at her about everything that was bad in my life, and that's quite embarrassing, really. But
it's not embarrassing. It's really not, Amanda. I think, again, gosh, it's amazing how linear a lot of our experiences are, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. It's what we do when we're in addiction. We blame other people for our stuff. And to some extent, maybe we do have trauma. Maybe, our parents, didn't get everything right. But, isn't it beautiful that in recovery we get to look at those things? And I am going to ask about the steps, because we are, our treatment centres, we focus on 12 steps because it's a beautiful, beautiful framework for life, isn't it?
It really is.
You would have been introduced to steps 1 to 3 in treatment. Is that how it was for you? Yes. So, there are preparation steps, the acceptance and the, willing to start looking at the solution. And then, step 4 onwards, everything just takes off, doesn't it?
It is amazing. It just starts to fly.
Yeah, and to look at those resentments, right? And I know when I did my steps that I, like you, had a lot of resentments towards my mum. I thought she was to blame for everything. And then actually by doing my steps, I realized that she was just as much of a victim as I was in it all. And that she only did what she did what she could with the tools she had.
That's so true. Yep, absolutely same.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you got to go through that process. But it doesn't happen in a vacuum, Amanda. So, how did you don't just wake up one day and somebody throws a solution at you and then you're happily sober for the rest of your life. It's hard bloody work, isn't it?
It is. It is hard.
But to be honest, anyone listening that's new out and thinking, oh my God, what do I do next? And what would you say to them? What would you say that they should do if they're floundering a bit,
I think it is so hard. I mean, I was blessed that when I went into treatment, I was 100% ready. I was 100% ready to put in all the commitment all the time. And I really needed those 28 days to be away from everything and really to look at myself and to change. But it's really slow. It's slow and it's painful. And you are going to have things come up that bite you in the arse, quite frankly. And every day is a school day. You learn something every single day. And sometimes it's horrible stuff, but quite often it's really good stuff. And it's always worth hanging on. And I think having people around you and really sticking close to the program, to the people that you've got, and to use those resources is so important. It's such a blessing to be able to pick up the phone to someone and speak to them. And I'd never do that before. I wouldn't speak to anyone. I'd just sit there and suffer and then drink and then get more and more miserable, and then get in contact with completely inappropriate people. That was, you know,
I don't know what you're talking about. No idea.
I always used to say that phones should come with a breathalyzer. Probably would have caused me a lot less embarrassment, but hey, that's just
maybe there's a patent in that. Maybe there is. Yeah, for sure. You're not allowed to text your dealer if
absolutely, but yeah, it goes.
Yeah, wild.
It was so it was really hard, but I had to be open as well. I think that's the important thing as well, to remain open, to listen to what people have got to say, and not to make it all about yourself, because I know I spent all my time in addiction being completely selfish and being all about myself. I wasn't a selfish person in that I wouldn't take things from other people, but I was always completely self-centered. It was always me, how I feel, and and I didn't really care about anybody else, because I didn't think they cared about me anyway. So what does it matter?
Yeah, right.
It was very much a sort of like me against the world situation. And
it's supposed to be, isn't it? Feeling like the world is against you.
It was, absolutely. And I was such a victim, and I was fed up of being a victim, quite frankly, as well. So and I look back, I mean, over my journey of recovery, and at first it was, you know, as you said, it was so hard I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know anything at all about myself, because I started drinking so young. That I just had no clue. So it was all a massive like learning curve, and that's really hard, and it was tiring, really tiring, and it was so exhausting. I was really lucky. I had my work have been amazing. They've been so supportive, and I had another 28 days off after the 28 days I spent in treatment. And I was grateful for that. And they also gave me some counselling as well, like through my work, which helped to build on what I'd already started working on. And I think just being open and taking stuff from people who've been there before, people who can help you, and moving forward. I mean, I'm a completely different person to what I was 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Definitely like a year, 2 years ago. I feel like I'm slowly growing up, so I'm probably about like 12 or 13 now.
Hard to relate, so hard to relate. I love what you said, like about that you don't even know who you are. And at the risk of repeating myself, yeah, totally. And I still say that 3 years in, I'm still not entirely sure. It's like I woke up for the first time when you get sober. And I look at, like, say my partner is 10 years younger than me, and she resembles a fully put together human who knows exactly what she likes, what she doesn't like, you know, where she's going in the world. And I'm like, I'm 38 over here, and I'm only just figuring out that I'm an introvert, that I like books, you know, all these things that I the only memory I have of liking these things and being that person was like when I was 6 or 7, because at the age of 13, I found alcohol. And then everything paused at that point. Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
It's
so what
weird.
was that like at you figuring out, you know, whatever age that was when you're coming into recovery, that really, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? It's exciting, but it's also, like you say, exhausting. I don't know. I slept so much in my first year of recovery.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Talk to me about sleeping. It's so great. Like,
I love it. I could do it for my job. It's amazing.
But it is, isn't it? It is that thing. And I'm so glad you said that, because recovery isn't just about stopping drinking and doing what you're told. Although, yes, largely it is. Be teachable, do what somebody tells you, accept that your way isn't working, right? Have a ability about the whole thing. But also, there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
There is a lot more. And the people I was like hanging around with, you know, I tried to carry on the same essentially. So I was like, right, the obsession thankfully went really quickly to drink. It was just, I had to work on myself. So I would go into pubs and like drink lime and soda, Diet Coke, whatever. And but the people who I used to drink with, they just couldn't understand me. They didn't understand why I was going to drink. And they kept saying things like, oh, well, you know, when you can drink again, which is a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
And it used to really frustrate me. But then, you know, you see that actually that's probably them projecting their own feelings onto me.
Yeah.
And because they were hard drinkers too. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing. And so it was just, I had to change a lot of that, and I had to get a new set of friends because people, they didn't understand me, the people that I saw on a day-to-day basis, because we were all in the pub getting absolutely wankered.
Yeah. And our whole, you know, the whole relationship is, you know, it's proceeded on that, isn't it? So you hit on a point actually that we deal with a lot in alumni when we're speaking to people who are quite new out of treatment, who are like, yeah, but all my friends drink. So I'm going to the pub. I'm not drinking though, but I'm going to the pub and they're still going to the spaces. And it's really hard to explain to somebody that actually you do lose people in recovery.
Yes.
You do. Now, I found that hard. I did. Some I found easy because I knew they were toxic.
Yes.
But there were some people that I found it quite difficult to accept that actually we no longer have the same worldview because the reason we spent time together was so that I could drink and use drugs.
Yep.
Have you got any sort of tips or experience, you know, advice for people who might be sort of struggling with that concept? Like how did you find new friends? Like how did that happen?
The best thing I did, because I thought I was cured when I came out of treatment, I honestly thought I was cured. This is it. I'm fine. I'm done. The best thing I did was taking my ass to an AA meeting.
Oh, really? How interesting.
How bizarre.
It's annoying that it works, isn't it?
It was just, I was absolutely terrified. I was mortified, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what the hell am I going to do? And but I this is what I worked out fairly early on, that there was no point forcing these relationships with the people that I'd been hanging around with. There was just, I had to accept it. And it was hard, as you say. It was, you know, heartbreaking. In some cases, it was pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was very nice to say goodbye to some of those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, dragging myself down to an AA meeting, I walked into that meeting and there was two people that I recognized, one that I knew actually quite well. And I was just like, right, this is where I'm supposed to be then.
I was going to ask you about that, knowing where you come from, which I'm not going to say, obviously, and knowing the area. I was thinking, because sometimes when I come back to that town, I think, I might hit a meeting. And I think I am going to know at least 2 or 3 people in that room, right?
Oh, yes.
That must have felt oddly, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how it felt, but maybe a bit validating, or like, oh my God, it's not just me, right?
It felt really like that. It's like, I'm not alone. I am doing the right thing. I should have definitely started going to these meetings as soon as I got out of treatment. I'm not alone. These people I know, they are here. Everyone's amazingly supportive, and I've already got a couple of friends. I've already got a couple of people that I know already, and it just grew from there. It was amazing. I went into that meeting scared as anything and crying. I cried for pretty much my first 6 months of recovery. I pretty much didn't stop.
Yeah.
I came out like bouncing and like feeling feeling part of, and I'd never really felt part of anything.
You just hit on the most important thing though, isn't it? That's the thing. And it's funny because, you know, I went to my first AA meeting pretty sure it was the worst moment of my life, and it actually turned out to be quite the opposite. And it's like, believing that when somebody tells you is it's really hard. Sometimes you have to find out and have the willingness yourself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's incredible. And did you get a sponsor pretty quickly, or what was that process like for you?
It took me about 3 months, I think, to get a sponsor. There was a couple of people that I was looking at and thinking, wow, you know, I really admired their recovery and all this stuff. Unfortunately, neither of them were taking on sponsees at the time. So I ended up with a male sponsor who had approached me. And I think we kind of know where this one's going.
I was going to say, am I going to guess that this doesn't end well? Or
it did not end well, but not for. I was fine, thankfully. But other people got very damaged with it. His behaviour was not entirely ideal, and it was not the best. But then again, I'm particularly cruel and hard on myself. So, you know, if there's a situation that's going to be really hard, I'm going to put myself in it and prove how, you know, I'm not going to fall for that stuff again.
I'm different, you know, and also just to say, I know that there are suggestions, and they're not rules. They are suggestions in the room that women sponsor women, men sponsor men. As a queer person, that's not always the case, but
absolutely,
it's important if you are going to have a sponsor of the opposite or whatever, you know. So it works as if you know, if you're gay, then you probably do want a sponsor of the opposite sex. It's complicated. I get it, but it is important to recognize that we are all in recovery in the rooms, and even sponsors, and I'm a sponsor now, I'm still in recovery. I still have days where I'm sick, where I'm a raging alcoholic, right?
Absolutely.
You have to be careful about that. And I understand why the suggestion is there. So did you go through the work with him then?
I did, I absolutely did. I mean, he made a couple of inappropriate suggestions to me, but I pushed them back, and he never tried anything more than that. So I was quite comfortable with that, and I thought, well, I really want to get my steps done now. I really, really want to, and I did trust him in that way, 100%.
That's all it's there to do.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it is the sponsor's position is to take you through the work like they were taken through the work, and to get you through the program, right?
Absolutely. And in that way, I've got to say he did do an amazing job. And he did, when I sat on step 4 for 3 months, he did kick me up the arse, and we did move into step 5. And, you know, and that was when everything just starts to change.
Everything takes off, doesn't it?
It really does. And that was just, that was so amazing. It was such an amazing thing to do. And I really, really, I was getting it. I was really getting the understanding and being able to look at things in such a different way. And so I'm really so appreciative of that. And he, you know, he was great. Unfortunately, he didn't cover himself in glory with other people. I took on my first sponsee, well, my only sponsee, when I was about 9 months in. And unfortunately, she went back out there because she slept with my sponsor.
Oh, wow.
And she wasn't the only one. There was like and it was also very uncomfortable. So I split with my sponsor at that, because I felt that, you know, he was taking advantage of vulnerable people, and I didn't want to be aligned with that. I just felt that the behavior was very, very bad, and I felt quite I was disappointed and I felt
Yeah,
used.
of course. And you were put in a difficult position. But this is the thing, if we're going to follow the letter of the program, it's about, that he'll be held accountable. I'm in recovery in East London. There are lots of people in the rooms who act inappropriately. And you know what? I just don't involve myself with them. And it's that saying as well, isn't it? Stick with the winners, stick with the winners, stick with the people who keep their head down and get on with the program. It's like any walk of life. You could use that as a reason not to go to meetings. Oh, well, they're predators. Well, actually, there might be 1 or 2 per 1,000, but it's the same as any population, especially, where we are a broad demographic all brought into one space. But where you did make me laugh about 3 months on the step 4, I was 9 months on my step 4. Okay, so sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But
Absolutely.
I wish I could get anyone I speak to who has reservations about the program to not give up until they have done step 5. Tell me then it doesn't work.
Oh,
right?
No, 100%. I completely agree with you. It really is. It changes absolutely everything. And it makes so much sense. I think at that point, like, you really do just, you can let go of so much stuff that's been holding you back for so long and move forward finally. And it's such a beautiful process. It really is. I mean,
you do what I do. I'm just like, it's so great. I don't have words, but it is. But also recognizing, and you said that before, it's not always rainbows. It's not always easy,
Absolutely.
Before I ask you about sort of how things are now, have you had any moments in recovery that have been really difficult? How has that been? Or have you managed to, escape any major scrapes along the way?
I've been pretty lucky. I've got to say, I have been like, my life has been great. Although saying that, actually, there have been a number of occasions. Like this time last year, I was feeling absolutely horrible. I really wanted to kill myself. And it was like a perfectly rational thought. And it wasn't anything to do with drinking or not drinking or anything like that. But I was sat there thinking, right, okay, I need to sort out my house, sort out everything, get everything, just kill myself, because this is not right. Luckily, I am surrounded by a lot of very, very good women who are the same age as me. And I realized that, actually, I think I better get on the phone to my doctors, because this is definitely perimenopause.
Okay, I'm making a face now because, that's a whole other podcast worth of conversation.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe I should do a podcast about that. The specifics of being an ovary owner of a certain age, dealing with life in recovery without anesthetic, and just having to navigate that. Hey, I'm not going to bore everyone else out there with it, but I got you. I totally understand that. And I think that is something that does make a difference. And I'm so sorry that your mental health suffered as a result of that. But isn't it wonderful how you had the support? You spoke to people, and then you actively could go and do the thing that would help.
That was an absolute turning point for me, when I realized that I could take control, take responsibility, and actually do something to make my life better.
Wow, wild.
Was absolutely like, whoa, this is completely mad.
This is it though. The program doesn't just stop us. It doesn't just help us to stay stopped from drinking. It gives us this ability to manage life on life's terms. And we've all heard it a million times, but it's worth reminding. It is about things like this. I've been through a health crisis in recovery. I was very unwell for about 6 months. Had to take a month off work, and I handled that. I got through it. And I knew that when I went to the doctors or when I had to get to hospital, I knew that I hadn't caused any of it by drinking or using, right?
Yes.
It's like, just knowing that you are treating yourself with some sense of kindness. And you're not lucky, Amanda. You've done the work. That's why you've done so well in recovery, because you turned up for the work.
Oh, I knew I'd be shortchanging myself, and also everyone else that believed in me. And I never believed in myself before, but apart from the fact that I could get whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, as long as it was drugs and alcohol related. But I actually believed that I could actually make my life better. And I could be kind to myself. I mean, that is still a work in progress. Oh my goodness. I'm still incredibly hard on myself and cruel. But I'm actually moving towards things. At Christmas time, I started the very long, slow process of potentially trying to get myself an ADHD diagnosis, which I know takes a really long time. And at my age, I mean, I am 48 now, and I've got to do it. I don't have it just for my own peace of mind. But I know it's going to take ages, but that's okay. I accept that, but I'm still needed to start that process moving forward. And so that was amazing. I did have talking about like things in early recovery where things almost went terribly, terribly wrong. I was only about 4 months in, and music is still my love. I go to gigs. I love music, and that was one of the things that actually scared me about getting sober. I thought, what if I can't go to gigs anymore? What if I can't see live music? Oh my goodness! Right. My whole life is what would it wouldn't be worth anything. Luckily I can go to gigs, and I do often. But
they're more enjoyable, if anything.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely amazing.
You remember them for a start.
It's just I know, remember, and actually turn up and not miss half the set because I'm too busy. It's ridiculous. But I was in a pub with a load of my friends, and I accidentally picked up someone else's drink, took a swig, realized exactly what I'd done, and like spat it out immediately. But that was really frightening, and that was like you've got to be careful. You can't risk this. And it was just one of those things that really just brought me back down to earth and said, no, it's just be careful, think about everything, and don't just go with stuff. But the fact that I noticed immediately and just knocked it out, and I was quite pleased about.
Well done.
Because it could have gone either way, but I thought, no, I've worked so hard. But I'm really lucky as well. Like the people that I do go to gigs with, I've got friends like all over the country, and actually like in America and Japan and in other like countries as well. And I've got to say that they have been so supportive. They have been absolutely amazing. Whereas my friends that I used to see all the time down the pub could not understand why I wanted to be clean and sober. These guys, they have been. I'm so blessed to have them in my life. I don't see them every week, but I see them fairly often. And they've been my rock. Since I told them, I've been always quite open and honest with them, and they've been amazing. And I'm really lucky to have them in my life and have them by my side. So that's been a blessing.
Lovely. I think isn't it wonderful? We attract so people who are good to spend time with, who are healthy to spend time with. And you talk about you being blessed. I'm sure that it's the case that and my friends and loved ones remind me, it's like, well, actually I'm a better person to be around now. They're blessed to have you in their lives sober, right? You can turn up for them now. And it's just the ripple effect, isn't it, of recovery?
And that's so precious. It really is.
It's been so lovely to sort of catch up with you and hear your story. I didn't realize that we had so much in common with our recovery. It always amazes me. I go to a meeting, there's a 60-year-old man sat at the front. I'm thinking, that little alcoholic in head is like, what am I going to have in common with them? And they start talking, and it's like, oh my God.
I love that,
isn't it? You get that relation. You're like, I did not expect that. Okay, so just to like, I could talk to you for hours, honestly. It's probably going to be like the longest interview I've ever done.
I'm
But
sorry.
totally fun. Oh my gosh, no, it's wonderful. Gem, absolute gem. You've shared so much wonderful stuff, and it's such a strong message. You know, and I think it is a story that so many people listening are going to relate to. What are things like now?
Oh my goodness. I was sat last night watching TV, doing a bit of crochet, thinking about the weekend I've just had with like my amazing friends, seeing like my most favorite band in the whole world ever, a wonderful venue, and like having my job, having my family, having my home, and having all of these things. And I've got such a good life now. I've got such a good life. Going from a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, when I wanted to die, to coming to now. And I mean, as we've said before, it's not all unicorns and rainbows. It never is. But I feel like I've now got the tools to be able to deal with that. I've got people around me who are healthy, who are good for me, who support me and who I can support in turn. And I've got such a great life now. I can live without alcohol. I never thought that was going to be possible. And now I just can't imagine how I managed to survive as long as I did with alcohol.
Yeah.
I've got a blessed life. It's I'm lucky, I'm amazed, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. I'm just so pleased that I made that decision and that I had support to get it done, because I would not change my life today for anything.
Oh, wonderful, Amanda. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
And it's so wonderful to see the promises come true.
They certainly have done in this case.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Amanda. I hope we get to speak again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I enjoyed every second of that interview. I wish we could have carried on talking, but we have only so much time. So thanks again. If you would like to be involved in our podcast, you are always very, very welcome to reach out to us at alumni@ukat.co.uk, or just by leaving a message on Spotify, which you can do now. Any feedback is greatly appreciated. And we're very grateful to our alumni community for being so supportive to each other. You have been listening to Screaming on the Inside. Thanks so much again for joining us. As ever, take care out there. Remember, if you need any support in your recovery, you can find a load of information and contact points for us at ukat.co.uk, as well as our other links and resources in the show notes. Thank you, everybody, and we hope to see you next time. God bless.